Hello everyone, this is my third video on my GMAT preparation. Today I will do 10 critical reasoning questions from the official guide 2022. As you have seen in my previous video, I have practiced the first 10 questions from the easier section and I will continue from there onwards for another 10 questions. Okay, so let's start. Question number 662. According to a study, after a week of high altitude living, 20 men had slimmed down. The men, middle-aged residents of low altitude areas, had been taken to a research station at 2650 meters above sea level. They had unrestricted access to food and were forbidden vigorous exercise. Yet they lost an average of 1.5 kilograms during their 1 week stay. Clearly, the lower availability of oxygen at higher altitude or hypobaric hypoxia can be said to have caused the weight loss. Since, okay, now which one of the following would, if true, most logically complete the argument? A. The decrease in oxygen intake has been shown to depress appetite. Okay. Oh. The men all participated in the same kind of exercise during their stay. The foods available to the men had fewer calories than the foods they usually ate. Exercise at higher altitude is more difficult than exercise at lower altitude is. Several weeks after returning home, the men still weighed less than they had before the study. So option is not helping. So omit it. Just let me omit this thing. This one is not. Exercise at higher altitude is more difficult than exercise at lower altitude. So this is also not helping. The food available to men had fewer calories than food at the village. So this can be. The men all participated in the same kind of exercise during the day. Okay, so this is also not helping. Okay, now between these two, a decrease in oxygen intake has been shown to depress appetite. Okay, now let's read the premise once again. According to the study, a week of higher living, 20 men had slimmed down. The men in middle age and low altitude had been taken to research station. Okay, they had unrestricted access to food and were forbidden vigorous exercise. Yet they lost an average of 1.5 kg during their okay. Uh, See, the foods available to the men had fewer calories than the foods they usually ate. So, this can't be the choice, right? The food can be available at ground level also with fewer calories. So, this does not help. Okay, so I will go with, sorry for that. I will go with this one. A. Okay, so it took me around how much? 2 minutes 55 seconds. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Ah, Editorial. Our city's public transportation agency is facing a budget shortfall. The fastest growing part of the budget has been employee retirement benefits, which are exceptionally generous. Unless the budget shortfall is resolved, transportation services will be cut, and many transportation employees will lose their jobs. Thus, it would be in the employees' best interest for the union to accept cuts in retirement benefits. Okay, which one of the following is an assumption the editorial argument requires? Okay. So the first one is the transportation employees union should not accept cuts in retirement benefits if doing so would not be in the employee's best interest. No, I don't think. Okay, the next one. The only feasible way for the agency to resolve the budget shortfall would involve cutting transportation service and eliminating jobs. So this is also not what they want, right? Other things being equal, it is the transportation employees' interest to have exceptionally generous retirement benefit. Okay, cutting the retirement benefits would help resolve the agency's budget shortfall. The transportation employees union will not accept cuts in retirement benefits. If doing so will not allow more transportation employees to keep their job. I think D is the answer. Okay. So I will just once again reread it just for my own clarification, but I have marked D. Okay. Editorial of city's public transport agency is facing a budget shortfall. The fastest growing part of the budget has been employee benefits, which are exceptional general. Mm, the only feasible way for the agency to resolve the budget shortfall would involve cutting trans. No. Other things being equal, it is the transportation employees' interest to have exceptionally. Okay. Yeah, I'm going with this only. Mm. Now let's move on to the third one. Okay, for the sake of track record, I will mark this as 1. This one is 2. Okay, this is 3. Okay. Hmm. Researchers hope to find clues about the AMK peoples who lived in the Kamta region about 1000 years ago. Researchers hope to find clues, okay, about the AMK's people who lived in the Kamta region about 1000 years ago, but who left few obvious traces. The researchers plan to hire the few remaining shamans of the modern day indigenous people of Kamta who are believed to be descendants of the AMK to lead them to ancestral sites that may be the remains of AMK buildings or ceremonial places. The shamans were taught the location of such site as a part of the traditional training of youths, and the knowledge of traditional counter custom may help them determine they may help determine the nature of any sites the researchers find. Which one of the following is an assumption on which the success of the plan depends? Okay, so what is the assumption, right? Uh, the researchers have reliable evidence that the AMK of 1000 years ago built important ceremonial places. Okay, the summons have a reasonable accurate memory of ancient sites they learned about as youths. Come, okay, so this is not the answer because what they will do remembering as youth, right? Okay, counter summons are generally held high in esteem for their traditional knowledge. Okay, but this is not suffice. This will not suffice. Modern technology available to the researchers are likely to be able to find some MQ sites available. So this is out of context. Most of most or all M sites are likely to be found within the Kamta region. Ah, okay. I think A should be the answer. The researchers have reliable evidence that the AM of 2007 built important civilization. Now let's read the premise once again. The researchers hope to find clues about the MK people who lived in Kamta region about 1000 years ago, but left few obvious traces. Okay, the researchers plan to hire the few remaining summons of modern day indigenous people in Kamta who are believed to be descendant. Okay, to lead them to sites and may be the remains of empty building or ceremonial site. The summons should taught the location of the sites, okay, and their knowledge of traditional Kamta custom may help determine the nature of any sites the find. Okay, and the knowledge of traditional counter customs may help determine the nature of any site the researcher find. So this is what they want: their knowledge of traditional counter customs. So where it is reflected, the researchers have reliable evidence that the MK one of 1000 years ago built important ceremonial places. Now the summons have reasonably accurate memory of MK site they learned about. Okay, so now I think we can also be the answers. Counter summons are generally held high in esteem for their truth. Modern technology is available to research likely to be able to find some such easily. Most of all sites likely found. So I'm eliminating this also. But but once again I'm reconsidering D. The summons have a reasonably accurate memory of AMK sites learned about as youth. Hmm. The researchers have reliable evidence that the AMK of 1000 years ago built important ceremonial spaces. Some also taught location exercise as a part of their training. As yes. This is not. So I am going with A. And it took me 5 minutes 46 seconds. Okay. Next question. Astronomer said most stars are born in groups of thousands, each star in a group forming from the same parent cloud of gas. Each cloud has a unique homogeneous chemical composition. Therefore, whenever two stars have the same chemical composition at each other, they must have originated from the same cloud of gas. Okay, which one of the following, if true, would most strengthen the astronomer's argument? Okay, in some group of stars, not every star originated from the same place. So this is weakening. Cloud of gas of similar or identical chemical composition may be remote from each other. This can be whenever a star forms, it inherits the chemical composition of its parent clouds. Okay, this can be many stars in vastly different parts of the universe are quite similar in their chemical composition. Okay, okay. So they said most stars are born in groups of thousands, each star in a group forming from the same parent cloud of gas. Each cloud has a unique homogeneous chemical composition. Therefore, whenever two stars have same chemical composition as each other, they must have originated from the same cloud of. So D says that many stars in vastly different parts of the universe are quite similar in their chemical composition. So this doesn't help. Okay, astronomers say at least sometimes precisely determine whether a star has the same chemical composition as its parent cloud of gas. Okay, B. Clouds of gases of similar or identical chemical composition may be remote from each. Clouds of gas of similar or identical chemical composition may be remote from each other. Mm, So the argument that has been laid out here is mm, each cloud has a unique homogeneous chemical composition. Therefore, whenever two stars have same chemical composition as each other, they must have originated from the same cloud of gas. So if I find any two stars and they have same composition, they have the same beginning. Okay. So cloud of gas of similar or identical composition may be remote from each other. Okay, but see, whenever a star from its forms, it inherits the chemical composition of. I will go with C. It is said right. Okay, and this one is the fourth question. Okay, this is the fifth question. With the employer paid training, workers have the potential to become more productive not only in their present employment but also in any number of jobs with different employers. To increase the productivity of their workforce, many firms are planning to maintain or even increase their investment in worker training. But some training experts object that if a trained worker is hired away by another firm, the employer that paid for the training has merely subsidized a competitor. But some training experts object that if a trained worker is hired away by another firm, okay, the employer has paid for training. They note that such hiring has been on the rise in recent years. Which of the following would, if true, contribute most to defeating the training experts' objection? Okay, so we must object what the expert said, that is uh, training is not beneficial for the company. So practically I have to say that's one. Okay, number one, that is firms that promise opportunities for advancement to their employees get on average somewhat larger number of job applications from untrained workers than to firms that make no such promise. Firms that promise opportunities for advancement to their employees get on average somewhat larger number of job applicants. So this one is not helping, out of context. In many industries, employees who take continuing education courses are more competitive to job market. So this defeats now. So this is actually helping the uh, training expert. More and more educational and training institutions are offering reduced tuition fees. This is out of context. Research shows that workers whose training is wholly or partially subsidized by their employer tend to get at least as much training as the workers who pay for all their own training. Okay, just hold it for a second for this. E, for most firms that invest in training their employees, the value added by the investment in employees who they exceeds the value lost to other employees leaving. So this is the answer. It clearly says, okay, for most firms that invest in training their employees, the value added by the investment in employees who stay exceeds the value lost to other employees leaving the work. Okay, so this clearly defeats the statement, right, of this training expert. Uh, Now let's move on to the next question. This is question number 6. Okay. In emerging economies in Africa and other regions, large foreign banks that were set up during the colonial era have long played a major economic role. These institutions have tended to confine their business to the wealthier bank potential customers. But development of these countries' economies require financing of the small business that dominate their manufacturing, farming, and service sectors. So economic growth will be likely to occur if the local bank take on this portion of financial service markets, etc. Which one of the following completion would produce the strongest argument? Okay, so let me just read once again. In emerging companies in Africa and other regions, large foreign banks that were set up during the colonial era have long played a major economic role. Correct? These institutions have tended to confine their business to the wealthier banks. Okay, but development of these countries' economies require financing of smaller banks that dominate this and this. So economic growth will be likely to occur if local banks take on this portion of financial service market, since now a local banks tend not to strive as much as foreign banks to diversify their investment. Small, so this is against, right. Small farming and manufacturing business contribute to economic growth if they obtain adequate investment. This can be large foreign banks in emerging economies put with local employees and appropriate local consultation profitably expand their business to less wealthy clients. So this has nothing to do with economic growth. This is the profit of the firms. Some small business are among the wealthier customers to foreign banks in emerging economies. You know what I will do with that? Local banks in emerging companies tend to be less risk averse than foreign banks. Okay. Now B and E. Small farming and manufacturing business contribute to economic growth if they obtain adequate investment capital. So this is the right answer. Time taken 228. This one is 7. Sorry. Exporters in country X are facing lower revenues due to shortage of large metal shipping containers in which they send their goods by sea to other countries. Okay. Fewer containers arrive in country X due to reduction in imports. This has meant lost orders, costly delays, and scramble for alternatives such as air freight, all of which are costlier. Moreover, the revenues of exporters in country X will probably continue to decline in near future. This is because other countries are likely to find it increasingly unprofitable to export their goods to country X. Okay, so what they have asked? This sorry. This is because the other countries are likely to find it increasingly unprofitable to export their goods to country X. Why? Why they will stop? Production shipping containers in country X is growing rapidly as a response to the shortage. No, this is a solution. Shipping companies are willing to move containers from country to country only when the containers are full. Now, the cost of shipping alternatives such as freight is likely to stabilize in near future. No, consumers in country X are purchasing more products than ever. Whatever, which will logically complete the sentence. The sentence is this is because other countries are likely to find it increasingly unprofitable to export their goods to country X. Why they will find it unprofitable to export their items to country X? Because the worldwide demand for goods made in country X has only recently begun to rise after a long decline. Let me delete all this. Okay. Why other countries will find it difficult or sorry unprofitable if they send their goods to X? Because production of shipping countries in country X is rapid growing rapidly as a response to the shortage. No, shipping companies are willing to move containers from country to country only when the containers are full. Out of context, the cost of shipping alternatives such as air freight is likely to stabilize in near future. Exporters in countries are facing lower revenue due to shortage of large metal shipping containers in which they used to send the goods by sea and to other countries. Fewer containers arrive in due to reduction in imports. This has meant lost orders, okay, all these things which are costlier. Moreover, the revenues of exporters in will probably continue to decline in the near future. This is because, okay, this has meant lost orders. Revenues of exporters. The revenues of exporters in country X will probably continue to decline in the near future. Okay. The cost of shipping alternatives such as air freight is likely to stabilize. Now, consumers in country X are purchasing more products than ever before. Now, the worldwide demand for goods made in country X has only recently begun to rise after long decline. So I will go with B because it somehow help make us help understand that the shipping containers will only go from a place to another place if it is full. So if if country X is unable to buy anything, so they are not able to get imports from other countries because they are not full. Let's see. Hmm. Candle Corporation television station are likely to have more income from advertisers than previously. This is because advertisers prefer to reach people in the 18 to 14-year-old age group, and the number of people in that group watching candle television is increasing. Okay, let me read it again. Candle Corporation television stations are likely to have more income from advertisers than previously, Okay, the reason has been given. Furthermore, among candle viewers, the percentage between 18 to 49 years old is increasing. Okay. Which one of the following, if true, would most strengthen the argument that the candle corporation will receive more income and advices? Okay, I think this is pretty easy. Advertisers carefully monitor the demographic characteristics of television audiences and purchase advertising time to reach the audience they prefer to reach. Okay. Among people over 14 years old, fewer viewers of candles buy products advertised on television than do viewers of other stations. There will be increasingly more advertisements on television that are directed at viewers who are 14 years. Candle station plan to show reruns on television shows during hours when other stations run shows for the first time. People 18 to 14 years old generally have less disposable income to spend than people over 49. So this is incorrect. Weakening. This is weakening. Why will they receive more income? The first is that the number of people watching in between 18 to 14 years old are increasing, and second, they prefer to reach. Okay. So candle station plan to show reruns on television shows during. There will be increasingly more advertisement on the television that are directed at viewers who are. This is also not helping. Among people over 14 years old, fewer viewers of candle station buy products advertised on television than do viewers of other station. So there is a comparison between other stations. So this is not. So A is the answer. So let me see. Advertisers carefully monitor the demographic characteristics of television audiences and purchase advertising time to reach audiences they prefer to reach. Yeah, so this can be, yeah. So I took it around 2 minutes 50 seconds. And this will be the final number 10. Okay. A provincial government plans to raise the gasoline tax to give people an incentive to drive less, reducing traffic congestion in the long run. However, skeptics point out that most people in the province live in areas where cars are only viable transport to jobs and stores, and therefore cannot greatly change their driving habits in response to higher gasoline prices. Okay, let me read again. A provincial government plan to raise the gasoline tax to give people an incentive to drive less. Okay, now in the light of the skeptics' objection, which one of the following, if true, would most logically support the prediction that the government's plan will achieve its goal of reducing traffic congestion? So, which one will logically support that yes, raising the taxes will indeed toward the number of people who are driving the cars, or their intention to drive the cars? A. The revenue from tax will be used to make public transportation a viable means of transportation to job and store for far more people. Okay, this can be, but is it helping the people who are living here, who have to reach their work or store for cars? Let's see the next. The tax will encourage many residents to switch to more fuel efficient cars, reducing air pollution and other problems. So, reducing air pollution and other problems, what they have asked. Uh, so, the problem is traffic congestion. Okay. So, sorry, traffic congestion. So, there is nothing to do with fuel efficiency. So, this one is out. Okay. Because gasoline has been underpriced for decades, the province has many neighborhoods where cars are only viable means of transport. Yeah, so this will helping the this person. Excuse me. This one is actually helping the skeptic. Most residents who cannot greatly change their driving habits could compensate for high gasoline prices by reducing other expenses. This is also not helping. Traffic congestion is especially serious problem for people for whom cars are only viable means of transport. So this is helping the skeptic. So we are left with A. So I will read the premise once again. A provincial government plans to raise gasoline tax to give people an incentive to drive less, reducing traffic congestion in long term. However, skeptics point out that most people in the province live in areas where cars are only viable transportation to jobs and stores, and therefore cannot greatly change their driving habits in response to higher gasoline tax. In light of the skeptic's objection, which one of the following, if true, would logically support the prediction that the government's plan will achieve its goal? The revenue tax will be used to make travelers. So yeah, this is correct. So 3 minutes 38 seconds. Editorial. The roof of Northtown Municipal Equipment Storage Building collapsed under weight of last week's heavy snowfall. Okay. The building was constructed recently and met local building safety codes in every particular except that the nails used for attaching the roof supports to the building's column were of smaller size than the code specified for this purpose. Clearly, this collapse exemplifies how even a single apparently insignificant departure from safety standards can have severe consequences. Which one of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the editorial's argument? Okay, so the argument is that even the slightest of uh, you know uh, negligency can have a bigger effect. The only other buildings to suffer roof collapses from the weight of snowfall were other older buildings constructed according to less exacting standard than those in the codes. Okay. The amount of snow that accumulated on the roof of the equipment storage building was greater than predicted maximum that was used in drawings to space safety codes. Hmm. Okay, because the equipment storage building was not intended for human occupation, some safety code provision that could have applied to an office building did not apply to it. No, which one? I don't think. The municipality of Northern itself has a responsibility for ensuring that buildings constructed within its boundary meet the provisions of building safety standards. Because the equipment storage building was used for storing snow removal equipment, the building was almost completely empty when the roof closed. So this is out of context. Let's see the question. Clearly, this collapse exemplifies even a single apparently insignificant departure from safety standards can have severe consequences. Which one of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the editorial's argument? That is, safety standard cannot be hampered. The municipal number D, the municipality of Northern itself has the responsibility for ensuring buildings constructed within its boundary meet provisions safety codes. No, because the equipment storage building was not intended for human occupation, some safety provisions that could have been applied to an occupant did not apply to it. Yeah, I know. The amount of snow that accumulated on the roof of the equipment storage building was greater than the predicted maximum that was used. So this can be because now this will raise a question that even the longer days may have suffered the same damage. A. The only other building to suffer roof collapses from the weight of the snowfall were older buildings constructed according to less exact standard than those in. So this actually does not help, right? actually does not help. So among B and between B and C, the amount of snow that accumulated on the roof of the equipment storage building was greater than the predicted maximum that was used in drawing up the safety codes. Okay. Because the equipment storage building was not intended for human occupation, some safety code provision that would have applied to an office building did not apply to it. Except the nails used for attaching roof supports to the building column were of smaller size than the code. I think B should be the answer because you know just to tell about my intention of choosing B, because if the amount of snow has exceeded, so in no way you can justify that it was because of the small nails that failed or other thing, right? Maybe a bigger nails would also fail because the amount of snow accumulated was more. So I will go with this answer. Now I have finished 10 questions as required. Now what I will do, I will just make a little note about the answers that I have chosen, okay, and I will then check for the results. So I will just mark my answers in a different note so that I can check correctly the answers. So 662, 662, 663, 664, 665, 666, 667, 668, 669, 670 and 671. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now the answers that I will hear: A, A, C, E, B. Okay. So A, C, E, B. Sorry, B. 666 B. Where bhai? What am I doing? It started from 662. Okay. A. Oh. A D A C E. A D A C. Sorry. A D A C E. 667 should be B. B. Yeah. Then B A A. B A A. And the last one, 671, is B. Okay. I will jot down the timers as well. Actually, this is how I am preparing: 255, 143, 255, 150, 546, 329, 546, 329, This takes a little much time, but it will be worth it when you actually see there. I have next this one 666, no problem. 667, 228, 518, 228, 518, 669 is 250, 338, 250, 338, and the final one is 439. 439. Okay, so I missed this one. I don't know how. Okay, I will once again view my whole recording, then maybe I can put in this for this one, the timing for this one. Now let me check the answers. So answers are given here. Yeah, so let's check the answers. 662, okay, C, 662A, 663D, 664A. Okay, so 664 is my 664, it is B. This one is incorrect, so I will mark it small. Then 665 is C, then 666E, C, then 666E, then 667B, 668B, 667B, 668B, then AAB, 669A, AB. Okay, so I did pretty well this time. Only one incorrect, that is 664, and you see it took me 5 minutes and 48 seconds, so it was not worth the investment of time. So these are the things which we need to look out for, right? Because in GMAT you cannot invest so much time and then make it incorrect. If the incorrect one had been this 663, which took only 1.43 sorry 1 minute 43 seconds, then okay, chalo, galti ho gaya. This we have to avoid, like the 664. Okay, so I will check, just let me check the reason here. 664. Okay, so I will check the reasons here. 664, which one? Yeah, researchers hope to find about AMK people. Okay, this one, right? So there was a confusion between okay, let me see, the correct answer is B. The summons have a reasonably accurate memory of the aim site they learned about as youth. Okay, this one was the first one that I eliminated. If summons collectively, see the reason they have given, this one, sorry, this one. If the summons are collectively have no reasonable accurate memories of what they learned of the logging society, then the researcher's plan is not useful one and have no reasonable expectation of success. Okay. Mm, okay, so the reason they gave is if you don't remember what you have learned in the training or in your youth, there is no purpose. Okay, I think that is how it is the correct answer. I will lead up to here.